Hi, my name is Rochelle. I am a mental health therapist, and for the last few years, I have primarily worked with kids. I do have some adult patients on a different platform, but most of what my resources are for children. Right now, I am working with little littles, and for me, littles is K through 2. Um, what that means is you have to get really creative when you come up with interventions for kiddos. I think reading stories is beneficial for kids. I think that it helps on different levels. There are a lot of books that cover social emotional learning that kids that age would do well to grasp and hear about and have repetition and that nature. Also, I think that it keeps us from throwing devices in kids' hands when we are at a loss for what we can do. Granted, there are lots of online tools, and we can do a video on that at some point. There are a lot of good online tools that, oh, excuse me, are beneficial for kiddos. But I want to start today with some books that I've gotten over the past few months. Um, I order from Abe's Books because you're able to order used books that have been put back in the system, so it's not a whole waste, and they get a second love. A lot of what my focus is right now is social emotional learning. And so I'll go through each one of them. Newmark Learning, they make a lot of good books and they publish from different authors. So this one is one of the character sets. Um, let's see which one this falls in. Yeah, I Show Respect. So this is their Get Along with Others book series. It helps develop character traits that enable them to get along in their community. I think it's important because and I'm sorry if it's flipped. The author for this one is Barbara M. Lindy, illustrated by Mark Moniz. Moniz. It's flipped, so I do apologize in advance. I am doing this on my computer. Um, but it's a really good thought process of breaking down what respect looks like for kids that are small or younger. One thing I like about these books is that at the end, it shows you a picture and it asks questions like a follow up. Like, how are these children showing respect? How do you feel when others treat you with respect? What can you do to show respect to others? I like that aspect. So you take what you've learned and you're able to apply it. And this one gives you a breakdown of proper ways to read this book to kids. So you read the title aloud and discuss what that means. See if they have a concept of respect. Read it aloud. Talk about the characters and the actions as you're reading. So don't be afraid to stop and take breaks and ask, hey, what do you think about this character? You ask the kiddos how Tasha's the main character in this one, how her behavior changed through the story. And after they read them, if you're you do the wrap up in the back, and then you can guide them to talk about some of their own experiences with what respect looks like. And all the model, the Newmark learning books have that same premise. So this one is Be Patient, Maddie, which is in their I Am in Control of Myself series. So this is helping kiddos see and understand the importance of patience, um, and how that you need to maybe finish something before you move on to the next thing, even if you want to do something fun like ride your bike. And again, has that same concept of what patience looks like. Is the child being patient? How can you tell? And then have them describe how they feel when they need to be patient. Do the same steps in the follow up. And this one is by Molly Smith, illustrated by Julia Patton. I really like the idea of how this one works. with especially with patience and that, let's say, patience and being able to break that down, that it is okay to wait. This is Don't Worry Mason. This is also, well, this is not also, this is in their I Have Feelings book, their series. They have a lot, they actually break down which books are in which series. Um, this one talks about Mason's mom gets sick, she has cold, and things aren't in their regular routine because kids at this age crave routine. Something gets flipped on its head. Now he's worried that everything is going to go wrong, mess up. So now he's going to learn how to be flexible and learn that dad might have to take on some roles, which is cool too. In the picture, describing why this boy may feel worried and, finding out what makes them worried. And then that same run through. This one is by Molly Smith, illustrated by Helen Pope. Again, in that social emotional realm, this is still not I Have Feelings. I was so mad. Mia went to play in the sandbox, but things are not going her way. She gets mad, then discovers ways to control her anger, right? So it teaches anger management for kiddos. Same thing in the back, same questions in the front. Um, Written by Jessica Pippin, illustrated by Helen Pope. Oh, you can look at the little slight differences. You got Helen's illustration, and then like Julia's illustrations. You can see. um, Another in the new mark is Are You Listening, Jack? This works on self control, about the important things that you may want to focus on because you miss instruction, you miss routine, you miss a lot of things if you're not paying attention. It doesn't address specifically ADHD, but it addresses tips on how to focus, to take breaks, self-regulation time, to get back in order, to be able to engage with interesting materials. Written by Ellen Garcia, illustrated by Julia Patton. I read this one recently. I really like this one. Since a majority, because I work with younger kids, come to me with ADHD issues and struggle issues, or just paying attention. So I think that's a good segue. This is one I've read recently also. I Can Stay Calm, which is the I am in control of myself. Anya becomes frustrated while working on a project. Did she calm down enough to complete it? She's making some bracelet, or I think she was making a necklace. But it's a really good way for kiddos to talk about things that help make them calm. You've got the picture in the back to be able to uh, read and work on reading facial expressions. So I think that's a really good way in a set for that. Another one that is not associated with those are the ones I have in that series. I feel as a very great way to talk about hard things with kids. This is called A Terrible Thing Happened. So Sherman had something really bad happen and never really talks about what that terrible thing is. So you can have your kiddo infer what that terrible thing is. If they've had some abuse, neglect, any of those issues pop up, you're able to talk about it with them, talk about symptoms of dysregulation and how to become re-regulated. Some of this is talking, you can apply it to grief. Something, a lot of things you can apply to what happened. And then talks about being able to talk to an adult to understand what to be ready to process with the kiddo when they're opening up and telling you. Some of them, like the back has a note to parents and caregivers, natural disasters, assault, school violence, seeing an accident, death, seeing someone lose their life. Those are important things to be able to process with kiddos. There is another book that I have. I do not have it with me, but I am also going to talk a little bit about it. I'm going to see if I can find the title of that one because that one talks about abuse in a inappropriate nature, but it is very direct with kids. And I think that those are important. This one is written by Margaret Holmes. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you that. Illustrated by Carrie Pia. Um, so I do not consider myself biased, but in the term of great children's books imparting knowledge in a fun way, I think Steve Herman has it down. He does the Train Your Dragon series, so you can work on or Teach Your Dragon series, and this one talks about anger management. You've got your dragon, train your anger dragon. um, Drew has a dragon. They work on ways to help keep his body calm because when he gets mad, he gets fired up, and he can burn things down with fire. But it's not safe. So we got to work on how to manage and use those coping skills. I think that was a kind of quick segue to get to the next one, but teaching your dragon to understand consequences. Lots of folks misconstrue punishment and consequences. It teeters a good line, but a consequence is one that should teach a lesson when there's an error. A punishment a lot of times can be heavy handed and does not adequately tie those two events together. I think that understanding and learning that sometimes there are consequences for your actions. I think those are important. So if you're able to understand that, hey, I just pushed a kid off of something. Is that a good idea? Is that a good choice? No. What are the consequences? And sometimes consequences are like sitting out, but sometimes the natural consequence is that you lose that kid as a friend. And I think that is a great place to be able to delve in and talk about that. Help your dragon deal with anxiety. Since 2020, I have seen a plethora of kiddos who come back and talk to me very anxiously about things that you do not think or would not think a kid would be anxious about. Testing anxiety is one, but a lot of kids, especially if you're working in areas with lower socioeconomic statuses, have worries and anxiousness about where their next meal's coming from, where their next, if their home is being heated, those kind of things. A, a lot of times, we as counselors can point their family in the right direction, but if we don't know, we can't. But this is just a good way to help a person sit in those feelings, learn those feelings, and figure out what to do with that energy, which is a great segue into the mindful dragon. I think we don't think about kids as learning mindfulness. I think that's the best time to start. Slow down, take a deep breath. What do you hear around you? What do you feel around you? Sorry, we'll ask you. What are some things that you want to connect with? Those kind of things. I'm seeing if I could find that book. I may try to see if I can pull up the I was gonna try to see if I can do it on my computer or on my phone, but I'm gonna look it up. Oh, I've got 8 books. I do apologize for the rambling. View my purchases. I sure respect. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So the next one is called Some Secrets Should Never Be Kept. Protect children from unsafe touch by teaching them ways to speak up, by Janine Sanders. And when I tell you this book is super detailed, it does not spare comfort for uncomfortness. And so I think that that is a good tool to use by teaching appropriate terms for body parts, because I think that that is imperative to know if a kid has been assaulted, and teaches them about body boundaries, because body boundaries are huge. It's important to know that they are allowed to have space and allowed to tell people no. If you're uncomfortable with giving hugs, no, you don't have to. And I think that that's a great lesson to teach families as well, of forcing kids to give hug to weird Uncle Bobby or Aunt Mildred with the sloppy kisses. You know, um, those are the books that I have talked about that I have. As I add more in the children's section, I will update, add, do the part two to the video. Um, Also, when I get the chance to do the adult books that I work from with learning models and all that fun stuff, I'll give an update on that too. Thank you for watching. Um, you can like, comment, subscribe. You have any questions, drop them there. I'm gonna have my socials in the description box below. Uh, Reach out. I can also leave my email if you have questions, comments, concerns, or things that you want to see. Leave them in the comments. Let's open a discussion. Anything that you would want to see a video on. And with that being said, you guys have a great one. Peace.